Okay, good morning again. This is round the first thing Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi, Yerushalyim, HaKodesh, in the Beit Knesset of Hanukkah Yeshiva, so I'm recording number 6. And we are learning right now a Igros of Rav Moshe, Feinstein, according to the Berura, on the topic of clapping and dancing on Shabbos. Now, we learned in the Shulchan Aruch Shin Lamed Tes and the Shabbos that we're not to clap or dance, snap our fingers on Shabbos. The Ramah said, I'll just read you the Ramah. Vaha imasapkim umuratkim ve'idna lo michin dukim v'shum v'mitum shayeshoyim. And that there are those that do clap and they do dance on Shabbos, right? And there's no protests made against them. That's because it's better they should do it unknowingly, unintentionally, rather than being informed about it in a way of protest against them, and they'll go ahead and continue doing it intentionally. Amazing. Yeshiva, I mean, that's the first point of the Ramah. The next point of the Ramah, which is relevant to Rav Moshe's itself, Yesh omrim debizman hazeh kli shir ve'ein anu. Excuse me. The Yeshom in the Bizman is a call shari. There are those that say it's as close as a shita, which Rav Moshe is dealing with. Everything's permissible. That's only in terms of clapping and dancing. The Ein Anu Bikim B'Klias Yishkishir. We don't know in our times. Tosus writes that how to fix musical instruments. The Lekel and Mibzar, therefore you shall not make a gezerah decree under certain situations. Shem Yitakin Kusher. Then maybe they might come to fix a musical instrument. Why? That's something which is something uncommon, unusual, right, rare. There's no gezerah to be made in such a situation. And it's possible because of this, those people who are being lenient, they are being lenient because of this reason, that the gezerah was not in effect at that point anymore. So let's see what Rav Moshe says about this. He's dealing with this Yesh Omrim that says that it's not relevant with Manazet, that people are not expert in making these type of instruments and fixing them. So there's no reason why we have to be strict and prevent people from clapping and dancing.
Ben metapim, ben maskikim, ben meratim, shu isur adva shelo shayach klal. And all the more so, the clapping, the hitting the thigh, and the dancing, there's an isser that is not it's not relevant. Tikkun shodai hu isur, repairing. Shodai?
The
instrument?
No, it should die. Should die, right? Read the sentence again.
Shelo shayach klal. Tikkun shada shin vav dalet aleph yud.
Shavadai.
Shavadai. Hu isur al etzem hadavar. There's for sure prohibition on this thing. Kadesh lo yavo litot. So you shouldn't come to make a mistake.
Okay. Now Rav Moshe has been discussing as follows. He's comparing this halacha of not clapping and dancing because the concern you shouldn't come to fix a musical instrument, and comparing that with you shouldn't leave that if you left your water open overnight, right, you shouldn't drink from it, right, that there's an understanding that these two cases are similar. And Rav Moshe is dealing with the question, are these two cases similar or not? We have a case of leaving the water open, uncovered. Now there's
worrying about the snakes.
And therefore Chazal said, since it's possible, it's Gemara, that since it's possible a snake may have left its venom in the liquid, right, it's forbidden to drink from this liquid. Right? So the question arises, if that's the case, that you're concerned about snakes, what about if there's a situation where there are no snakes? Right? Does the water still remain forbidden? Right? Or another way of looking at it, is it permissible now to leave your water uncovered? Right? So there are those that say, since in situations where there are no stakes, there is no reason for the water to become forbidden. Because the whole reason the water is forbidden was because there may be venom in the water, and they're trying to protect you.
And conditions have changed.
Yeah, right.
Changing conditions.
Right. Even if the situation is causing the prohibition, okay? So if the situation is causing the prohibition, right? So if the situation has changed, right? So there's a question as to whether or not the prohibition is still in effect. Clapping your hands and dancing on Shabbos is not like that. What Moshe is saying is not like that. It's not that there was a prevalent condition, right? And therefore, once the condition has been removed, you can now say that there's no prohibition. Because there is an essential difference between not leaving the water over exposed and not clapping your hands or dancing. Not clapping your hands and dancing is that if you would dance and clap on Shabbos, you would say, maybe even that one person in thousands of years of the history of HaKodesh might come to say, well, this is so happy and so geschmack and such lebedik time, let's get out the guitar, right? Let's get out the violin, let's get the drums and the tambourines, right? What did Miriam do at the end of the Yam Suf? They were so enthralled with the events of the Yam Suf, it wasn't just enough to sing. She got out her tambourines, all the women got their tambourines out.
Yeah. They left quickly. They didn't have time to let the dough rise. And all the ladies bought the tambourines.
Oh yeah.
They knew dancing was going to come to the ministry. They knew they were going to dance.
Was that the top priority of theirs? Yes, because they had the highest level of bitachon. Hashem was going to take them out, and they would have to. So we could learn from the enthusiasm. That's what we've been talking about for the Chassan and Kala for the past week. The enthusiasm is very important.
Right. And you see, to elevate the enthusiasm, you want to have instruments with you, right? You see, Miriam was on the highest madrigas. It was the sister of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen. She was on the highest madrigas.
She was a musician also. We call her Miriam and Viyah. We don't say anything about her musical talents.
Because we never heard it.
All our Rishonos were Har Sinai.
Har Sinai, but I don't think they had their tambourines on Har Sinai.
Oh, okay. But they put them away, okay.
So, you might say, well, so therefore it's different. This is what Ramosh is dealing with. That, is it similar or not? There are those who say it is similar, right? That once the situation of people can't fix these instruments anymore, so the situation's been removed, so therefore the prohibition should also fall. And Rav Moshe is pointing the other side that no, in fact it's a little bit different, that there's still an absolute prohibition of clapping hands and dancing on Shabbos, regardless of whether or not the situation has changed.
Etzem hadavar kedei shelo lavo lito. On this side, they should not come to make a mistake.
Right, that's the essence of the actual thing is forbidden because you shouldn't come to make a mistake.
Velomar memshin biyad memshin.
Memshin Mishna zeh.
Mishna biyad mishna zeh. What is the difference between this and this? Bekli ukli. That because of an instrument, he's going to come to repair it.
Right. So people would say, what's the difference between this and that? I'm clapping, I'm dancing. So if I can clap and dance, I can dance, I can sing, I can dance, I can clap, I can play musical instruments also. They all go together. That's what you do. You always get together, do these old things together. So people would make a mistake and say, I'm doing this, I can do that too.
Shelachen en la'atir af shenitmatu hayecholim letaken kli shir. And therefore, we should not be permitted, even though there's few people who can fix musical instruments. The law you gezerim b'shvil miut, because the gezer was not done for the few people that we repair. Kazesh b'zmanenu shavu kebatel atav, and therefore in our time they would cancel this reason. Shin Mem Mem.
Shin Mem.
And the Batel Isur. Shema Mina.
Shema.
Mina. And therefore we should not cancel this Isur.
He took a strict view.
At this point, yes.
The Ayin B'Simchat Yom Tov Shenishar B'Kusyan. Look at the Simchat of Yom Tov that it stays into a question.
That's a sacred. He had the question. He was dealing with this question, and he remained with the question. He was able to reconcile the issue here.
V'katav lo yarati l'sof da'at Tosfos. I cannot come to the final conclusion of Tosfos.
He didn't properly fully understand the Tosfos. He wasn't able to fully understand Tosfos. That Tosfos is what the Ramah is basing his again, the Ramah is not giving a green light. He's just saying that in terms of the fact that you see people doing it, right? As the Rav Shulchan Aruch was one of the rabbis of Chabad. Rav Shulchan Aruch, he wrote a Shulchan Aruch. So it says here, it's basically with the Ramah. He says it's forbidden, right? You shouldn't dance and clap on Shabbos. It's forbidden. And he brings down, he quotes just like the Ramah says, you see that people are going ahead and doing it anyway. And he says it's better that they should be shoyikim and not be mezuzah, so don't protest against them. And the limud schus, his lashon is the limud schus is that you have this opinion of Tosfos, right? And here you see this, Moshe is dealing with trying to understand the opinion of Tosfos. So the lashon limud schus is that they need a defense, right? They need a defense to justify what they're doing, right? So in terms of trying to justify what they're doing, not necessarily allowing them to do what they're doing, but to justify what they're doing, right? You have to come up with this idea that it could be that people are not experts, so therefore it possibly could be permissible in this matter.
What's the difference of not protesting and saying it's awesome? Not protesting is to keep it from making amazement. Okay. And prohibiting it straight up would be stricter, but it could lead to people doing amazement.
Yeah, well, you have that problem. Like, maybe we shouldn't tell people to cook. That you have to teach people they can't cook on Shabbos. Maybe somebody's going to go ahead and do it anyway, and it'll be lazy, right? So that's education. That's why I said that's chinuch. In terms of chinuch, you have to tell them the halachos. People have to be taught the halachos, what the halachos are.
So we're not afraid that somebody may cook on Shabbos, therefore.
No, even this, when you're teaching, you teach that it's usher to do, right? It's usher to do. You should teach people that it's usher to do, right? And however, if you see people doing it, right, they're already, for some reason they're doing it, either they didn't get the proper education, right? So you don't protest against them, because then they'll maybe perhaps continue to do it, and they'll be doing it intentionally.
What Klal Yisrael does has a very vital influence or factor on what you tell them or not tell them.
Well, you have to be a chacham. You have to realize what the situation is. Who are you? That's what we've learned in Hilchos Yom Kippur. Will they accept the tochacha? Will they accept even sometimes will they accept the chinuch from you? Right? Will they accept the protest from you? So if you're in a situation that Chazal speak very strongly that if a person's in a situation where he can in fact give guidance and he doesn't, and people go off the stray, off the derech, then he's going to be held responsible for all their errors.
But you can have an impact in your definition to do. It may not be the most popular thing, but you have an impact.
If it's applicable. You always have to judge the situation to know if it's
not to know when to speak up. There's also another concept, speak up goes off. You keep quiet,
exactly.
Then you're not saying anything, it must be okay.
That was go back to the Gemara in Gittin, Bar Kamsa. What happened to the Maisa Bar Kamsa? Right, so he came to the Suda, right? He came to the meal, and he was thrown out. He was thrown out by the
He
host.
didn't have a reservation.
Yeah,
Says the
and,
Chassidus.
yeah, and the Rebbeim there, the Rebbeim was sitting there, and he said, look, the Rebbeim is sitting there, they're watching me get thrown out. Must be that they agreed with what's being going on here. They've done nothing more. So he wanted to take vengeance against the council and led to the poor man.
Basically, okay.
What do you want to say, Yeshua?
Was someone we were talking before? You was something?
No, he was getting ready to keep reading.
Oh.
Yeah.
ועין בבית יוסף סימן שין למתת שכתב שהתוספות מדמם זה למשקים מגולים זה שרו העידנה. Well, that Tosfos wrote מדמם זה from this
Right.
למashkin megul,
Right.
to open water, the sharu ha'idna.
It's permissible in Bismillah. So the base Yosef brings down Tosos, and the base Yosef's understanding of Tosos is that Tosos is saying the case with the clapping and the dancing in Shabbos is the same as waters that are left open is manazah, which is permissible. So that's the Tosos that everyone's trying to deal with. That's the Ramah is basing what the Rav Shmuel said.
But the Beit Yosef, I remember him bringing down Tosfot, the Beit Yosef, when we learned the Shimon Medal. Which was the Ramah.
No, when he refers to the Beit Yosef, that means on the tour.
On the tour.
The Mechaber, right, is the Shulchan Aruch.
Right.
And you see the Mechaber didn't go along with Tosos. Right. He knew Torah. Everybody knew Tosos. No doubt about it. But the Ramah brought down Tosos, right? But that again is the Rav Shmuel is called a limud zchus. That's like a defense. It's a defense to protect somehow these people that are going and doing what seems to be clearly forbidden.
Okay. Aval Lamedal.
Lamed lo dami.
Aval lo dami.
So now here Rav Moshe is very, very surprisingly is going apparently against the opinion of the Beis Yosef. He's saying lo dami. He wants to say it's not the same. He wants to make a difference between the case of clapping and the case of the water being left open and perhaps snakes getting involved in it. Even though that the Beis Yosef said that Tosfos was comparing the two, but Moshe is now dealing with the fact that he understands it not to be a comparison.
Lo dami klak the arti. There's no agree with him, obviously, according to everything that we explained. And it's not the best thing to become machmir. In any case, according to the halacha, via Ramah besiman shilo mitzvah say gimel shitata Tosfos v'katav she'al zeh, and because of this, nagu lehakel, that we are customary to become lenient. V'chen ro'im anu sheharbe yereim v'shleimim b'raktim b'shabbat yotom. And therefore, we see that a lot of people who are yereim,
they're afraid, they're fearful, they're God-fearing people.
And hope they dance on Shabbat and Yom Tov. Venira, and it seems Lamed Ayidal.
Lini is daiti.
Venira dati shatam hu the nechshava kelo pshita hagazera. And according to my opinion, it seems, my thought that the pshita. Hagazera, that throughout Shita Hagazera, that this decree, Pashta,
meaning it became widespread. It became Pashta means it's become widely accepted.
Shikavar Pashta Bimehem, even though it was already widespread in their time. About Kevan She'achshav Nishte. And now, because we drink mikfi shahaya biyamehem shenistala katam, and because in their time the reason went away, loch nechshav mashe pashta, we don't think of what was spread.
You don't consider it. Consider it as if it's been wide. Now, Rav Moshe is introducing another thing here. there's a general rule that Ein Goizun Gezerah Elain Kain Hatzibur Yochel Omido. I mean, you don't make a Gezerah unless the general public is able to accept it and abide by it. General rule, right? You don't. It's foolish to try and make enactments and gezerahs and decrees that are not going to be fulfilled, right? So, if you have something that you have to make a decree, you have to judge whether or not the general populace is going to accept it. That's according to with all the necessary education, the chinuch, and everything that's going to go into trying to get them to abide with what you say. But if you know from the very beginning that this is something that's not going to go, right? So it's better you don't make a gezerah, right? A similar a case like this is the Tfilas Ezra. Tfilas Ezra. The more in Brachos mentions about Tfilas Ezra, about going to the mikveh. Right? Going to the mikveh. So at the time of Chazal, they made a prohibition that a person couldn't learn Torah before they would go to the mikveh. I mean, you have to have relations, right? And having to go to the mikveh to purify himself, he would have to go to the mikveh before he could learn Torah. Okay? And they did this, it was done, Ezra made this is very early on in the history of Klal Yisrael, when he came out back from Babel. Ezra did this, that the men, especially the Talmidei Chachamim, shouldn't be too overly interested and with their wives, right? Because they'll be involved with Bittul Torah. So he wanted to say you have to go to the mikveh. So therefore, that would keep the frequencies of marital relationships down to a, let's say, a balanced medium. And then, when they would have to go to the mikveh, they go to the mikveh. Now, this was originally enacted, but it turned out that in general, the general public did not abide by it. So they eventually rescinded the decree. Yeah. Yeah. Well, not the Torah. Anytime there's a Baal, a person's a Baal Terry for whatever reason it may be, right? So.
There's also a chiyuv to live with your wife.
Yeah.
At the proper time. So.
Oh yeah.
So he said, what decree was rescinded?
About going to the mikveh afterwards. Yeah.
There weren't enough mikvahs.
Excuse me?
There weren't enough mikvahs.
Yeah, rivers.
Lakes. I had a day they used to chop the ice in the glacier to go into the mikvah. So he was one of the first polar bears that I have in America. January 1st, when it's freezing, they all go there to show how stark they are.
Coney Island.
Still there.
Okay. Right. So the general rule is you have to evaluate the potential acceptance of any enactment or decree that you're going to make. Right. So Moshe at this point is trying to give an explanation of Tosus based on another type of a understanding, that it's perhaps a gezerah in light of what's happening now. It's perhaps a gezerah that never really was accepted. Meaning, even though it was made, it might have been rescinded. Maybe it was never really reinstituted.
הטעם בפשט, לא נחשב מה שפשט בעת שהיה הטעם בפשט גם עכשיו כשלי כתב. אוקיי. ואף שיממם שמכל מקום הרי צריכים למנות ולבטל. In any case, it was needed to take it away and to nullify. יש לומר לכיוון שידוע שכל החכמים שבעולם, it's known that all the chachamim in the world היו מסכימים להתיר מאחר שאודם, that all of them were that they agreed to permit after people were going against him, וכדחזינן שאף שהיה טעם אמרו שלא למחות, and even though that they knew the reason and they said not to eliminate it, כדי שיהיו רק שוגר, that they should just be do it unintentionally, ולא מזיד and not purposely. ידינן מזה, we know from this, שאם היה אפשר לבטל תקנה, that if it was possible to cancel the takana, לא יהיה כלל, wouldn't be Isur, would not be an Isur altogether. Heve Vadai Rotzim B'zeh Rak She'az She'aya Atam, and it would be for sure that they wanted Rak She'az, and only then She'aya Atam, that the reason was Lo Have Yecholim Levatel Mishum Shevar Pasha. They could not cancel it because it was already spread. Velachem Keshivistale Katam Shalom Nechshav. And therefore, when it came, the reason that it doesn't, Shalom Nechshav, that it wasn't, that they didn't think.
I mean, the reason was not relevant anymore.
Shalom Nechshav Pashtat Gam Akshav, and therefore it was not spread even now.
Right. So this is a Chiddush of Mishna. He's saying that if it turns out that the reason at the time, already by Tosfos, he's speaking about it, Tosfos' time, that if the reason was now not relevant, in this particular case, it makes as if they had was not accepted, right? Because again, the Ramah is saying there are people who are doing this, right?
Right.
So that you have to think about this. How is it that groups?
They were obviously doing
the class are doing it.
They were obviously doing it in the time of Tosfos also. For him to say that, obviously they were already doing this in the time of Tosfos.
Exactly. So if they're doing it, how are they? I'll give you an example.
How do they justify it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. There's such a thing as pas palter, non-Jewish bread. Non-Jewish bread. It's kosher. It's 100% kosher. There's mishkiach there. 100%. There's not. Yeah, well, so it's not only that, it said during the Source made Tshuva, if a person wants to do Tshuva, you should be strict on Pas Yisrael. Now, the question is asked, if it's Usr, it's Usr. What is this thing that you should be, who are trying to fool over here? Between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you're going to do something which is really Usr, meaning what's normally Usr, and you do it during the rest of the year. During these 10 days, you're going to stop doing what's usher and you do something which you should be doing anyway?
Yeah, because you want to show that if you could do it all the time, you would do it all the time. So you want to, it's the time of the year.
So that's the way many understand it, but that's not the fact. Because what's the example that the Ramah brings over there? Pas palter. Pas palter is something which, based on even the Gemara, the earliest times, there was a gezerah which was not accepted throughout all places. There were some places that adopted the Qumrah, and other places did not adopt the Qumrah. So what the Ramah is talking about, even if you come from a place that did not adopt the Qumrah, and really according to your minhag, you're not obligated to keep the Qumrah, you want to do something extra special between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, right? This is something you should be extra careful during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And then, once Yom Kippur, you can go back to your own ways.
Right.
You can go right back to your own ways.
Right, because you want to show it that's a point.
Right, but if it would be something that's really forbidden, you can't do that. No one's suggesting you should do something which is really forbidden all year long, and be a good boy that in 10 days in Russia, and then once you Shabbos, go back to your own ways. No one's suggesting that.
Right.
So it's similar to that.
ולכן כשנסתלה כתב לא נחשב כמשפט גם עכשיו שאפשר לבטל, כשהיו נמנים ומכניסים נחשב כמתקבצו. And now that כשהיו נמנים and we're counting.
This Yaakov, you were mentioning with the Rambam. Moshe here is dealing with a situation like this. You can have a case where a previous Tikana, Gezerah, decree was first enacted, and then in a later generation you can rescind it. You can if you happen to be with a greater number and were greater in wisdom than the previous generation, right? Which in general that doesn't happen. But there are certain circumstances when it's considered that if you had that original based in now here in our time, they would rescind it as well, right? Then you don't have to be greater number of greater wisdom. And this is what Rav Moshe wants to say over here. The case we're dealing about here, according to Tosfos, right? The limud zkus, the justification for what these people are doing, which obviously is against the Shulchan Aruch. How can you justify what people are doing that's against the Shulchan Aruch? How can you justify it?
Well, you're not. I don't think you justify against the Shulchan, because the Ramah says, okay, you don't do it, but if they do it, don't bother them. So it's not like you're going into Shulchan Aruch technically, especially if you're Ashkenazi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so that's a little bit what Moshe is approaching here. Whether it's finally permissible or not. If you want, maybe just drop down to the last, because we're running out of time. Just drop down to the last 2 or 3 lines, I think.
And therefore, because something that is definite, Shayu maskimim lati, that they were willing to permit, me'achar she'ovrim, after people were going against it, the chazinan mihu she'amru, and there were those that said, shelo yimachu bahem, that you should not
protest. You should not protest against.
Kedei shelo yiyu misim, that it should not be do it purposely. Ve'kedichtave le'el sagi, and it's written later on, she'av lididehu lehachshiv kenikbetzu hachom ve'tiru, that you can think that the rabbis permit it. Zeu mashenira leteretz. This seems to me the answer. Shita tasosfot, according to Tosfos Ramah, shekatav shenagu lakel, that it says that we can be lenient. Aval keman shemechaber kolig, but because the Shulchan Aruch argues, the Tsama Tosfos.
Because the Mechaber, when he wrote, or Yosef Kair, when he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, did not take into consideration Tosfos.
Right.
So you see these arguing on Tosfos and writing the Shulchan Aruch, the law will be as it used to be.
The reason the Tosfos is not clear, it's therefore best to be stringent. Lamed Chav Hei Pei.
Lamed Chav Hei
the Bali Nefesh, according to somebody who cares about his soul.
Means right. So a person should be, if he cares about his ruchnius, the person should be strict. Right.
But according to people, they can be.
You see, the din is, you see that according to the Ramah, the people are making.
So what's the end result for us in the room?
Okay, so end result of this room is really, as Rav Moshe said, a Baal Nefesh, a person cares about his ruchnius, right? He should not do it, right? That's the law according to the Shulchan Aruch. Again, if you want to do it with Klakayar, that the Mechaber himself says you can do it with a shinu.
Yes.
Now, those people who are going ahead and doing it, right? So the law is don't stop them from doing it.
My question is, you go to Simchas Hashem, the Sheva Brachas, and you go to Bar Mitzvahs, and they're talking people who care, because Yeshiva is in Hasidim, and they're all singing and dancing and clapping. So how do we
right? So again,
we're not talking about dummies like me. We're talking about people who are learned people and smart people, and who really care about their Torah. You know, they really believe in it.
Sure. That's what Rav Moshe said.
And then when it comes to Sheva Brachas, they all do it like it's a okay thing.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing, you know, in NCSY and a Akira organization, you're doing it okay. Mm-hmm. But we're not talking about. We're talking about a place where it's all from people and they're doing it. So how do you? Okay, I'm not justifying it. I mean, they have who to lean on, so there's no question, because it's a simcha. Right. But according to what Moshe said, you know, if you're really in that level, so to speak, you shouldn't be doing this.
Right. So again, a couple of ways of approaching it. First of all, if it's like a Sheva Bracha, so it could be considered like in the get or of a mitzvah.
Okay.
Right. So mitzvah, we saw already that's like a simple
start, right?
Get a mitzvah.
Very good. Okay.
Right. That's number one. Okay.
Very good.
So you don't have to stop anyone from doing it there. Secondly, the dancing, as we saw with Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, I think is quoted as saying that what just holding hands, going around, that's not really dancing anyway. Right. So on Shabbos, people usually, I mean, they do really get involved and do these real dance things. But in general, what you're right about, it's just going around the tables. That's also something. And then whether or not I've seen Gedolei Yisrael that they even in the Shabbat they'll do with the shinu, they'll do with the shinu. Right?
No, I'm not talking about the video. I'm talking the average crowd
Yeah,
people. In those
right,
rooms, they all, the friends, all the friends of the chatan, all the friends of the bar mitzvah boys, the rabbis of the bar mitzvah boys, are all the. Like I said, simcha, so we can justify it that way.
Right.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Thank you.
Again, if you want to have a
Sorry,
shpana
doesn't help
person, if you want to have a shpana person, again, if there's Sephardim, it might be a whole different thing. This is basically
I know.
the Ashkenazim.
I know.
Sephardim, they have the macabre and always give macabre to the lion. So
we burn in hell.
So blame it on the Ashkenazim. We're doing it, so we should do it. But